There's England heading out. We're going to France, Germany, Belgium, Austria, Slovenia, and then Croatia. Probably going to be the most epic road trip ever.
Woo! Step in the booth like I never left. Smell the propane, smell of my breath, I'm spitting fire. Jaw-breaking punchlines like I'm Kanye and I'm spitting through the wire. I am back on my BS, don't try and fight this guerrilla warfare. I am Viet Cong, I am king, I am DX, so suck it. Now it's time to start interrupting with my ruckus. I am bad to the bone. Ain't nobody's little brother, no cousin, I ain't grown. I'm brighter than a solar flare and colder than the hair on the back of a motherfucking polar bear. In other words, for you nerds, I'm a problem here to stay, and I ain't about to go nowhere. The other bullshit is all counterproductive, so listen up, cause I ain't the one you wanna fuck with, nah.
We didn't really have a solid plan, we just thought we'd try and head as far south as possible and find some hot weather. First night we briefly stopped off in Germany and camped next to this river with some massive boats, and then made our way down to Slovenia. Driving through the Austrian Alps was pretty cool. I spent most of my time just staring at massive buildings in London, and it felt good to have a change of scenery. I'd never been to Slovenia before and didn't really know what to expect, which made it that much more impressive when we showed up at this lake called Bohinj. We just got to our campsite, and this is our lake on our front door. Slovenia's pretty cool, to be honest. What do you think, Dave?
Slovenia's pretty cool.
Dave thinks Slovenia's cool. Slovenia was so sick, we ended up staying for a few days. I've seen a lot of mountains during the winter before when they're covered in snow, but not many in the summer, and to be honest, I reckon they're more impressive. We went right up to the top on one of the evenings, and the light and views were insane. We were nearly 2,000 metres up, and for some reason I thought it was a good idea to walk down instead of taking the lift. We took the cable car to the top of this mountain to check out these views, and then tried to walk down, but we went the wrong way, so me and Arnell are going back on ourselves, but it doesn't really matter. This place is epic. Probably going to matter when the sun goes down and I haven't got any other clothes to wear, but I will work it out. After 3 days we decided to make a move. I really wasn't up for leaving. Slovenia was one of the most amazing places I think I've ever been. We'd planned to see some other friends in Croatia though, which was about 4 hours away, so we made our way out of the mountains and carried on driving south. I thought it was hot where we'd been in Slovenia, but as we got closer to Croatia the temperature shot right up. Being from England, I definitely wasn't complaining. We stayed in this cool little town called Vodjan that had all these ancient windy streets. It was far too hot to camp, but thankfully we had this insane Airbnb. The 5 days in our villa were over way too quickly. Time really does fly apparently when you're having all the fun. Sadly Arnell had to leave us here as she was off to Africa. It was a shame to see her go, but at least she made it this far.
Well, this is our last night in Croatia. This pool's been amazing, the heat's been great, but tomorrow we're going to Italy.
We made it to Venice for a night, which I guess was kind of cool. I'd always wanted to see it, but to be honest, it was just a massive tourist trap with loads of people selling masks and fruit.
Guys, we had the fruit, it tastes amazing.
Good?
Yeah.
I was into the fact everyone drives boats everywhere instead of cars, and although I'd heard bad things about the food, I had some of the best gnocchi I've ever eaten. It wasn't cheap though, and Ollie's 3 pieces of ravioli were even worse value for money.
How much was that ravioli?
20 euros.
Sadly, Thea had to leave us here and get back to work, and Ollie got a really savage ear infection from swimming in one of the lakes in Slovenia, which got pretty bad as we left Venice, so he decided to make his way home as well. We were down to 4 people in one car now, with still about 1,000 miles to go. We'd had such a good time in the mountains in Slovenia, so thought we'd head towards the Italian Alps and made our way to Lake Como. It took us about 5 hours to get there and was a pretty nice drive through the mountains. The lake was definitely a bit different to the one we camped next to in Slovenia though. This is Lake Como, maybe one of the biggest lakes I've ever seen. Felt a lot more familiar to me here and reminded me of some of the camping trips I used to go with my family around this part of Europe as a kid. We spent a couple of days here mostly just chilling out, but I also went for a bit of a hike up one of the mountains.
Oh, I've just got on a massive stomp up this mountain. Found some abandoned building. Probably shouldn't be in here, but I reckon the views are going to be pretty amazing. That is what I'm talking about.
We found this amazing shop that sold local wine for €2 a bottle, and it was pretty nice not having much to do except drink that and play bowls. We had a long drive ahead though, with one night in France, so after a couple of days it was sadly time to go. The drive was pretty crazy, and just when I thought the scenery couldn't get any better, we passed through the Swiss Alps, which I guess probably looked a lot like the other parts of the Alps we've been through, but for some reason these mountains look particularly nice. We also saw some people logging with a helicopter, which probably makes sense being in the mountains, but also just looks hugely expensive. About halfway up through France, we stopped off at a campsite just outside of a town called Rimsdorf for our last night. It seemed like a pretty nice place with a few lakes for fishing, but it turned out everyone carried on fishing all through the night, which basically meant we didn't get any sleep at all. I'm sure we kept a lot of people up in other campsites though, so we probably deserved it.
It's the last night of the trip. Probably the worst night's sleep of my life, but at least this lake's quite cool.
We had about a 5-hour drive to the ferry from Rimsdorf. It was a shame it was all coming to an end, to be honest. It had gone so fast, but the fact we'd driven to the other side of Europe and back in the 2 weeks we were away definitely made me feel like we'd made the most of the trip. It was far more successful than I ever could have imagined. We went to so many places I never even knew existed. The days we spent in Slovenia with the lakes and mountains were definitely my favourite. I haven't seen a landscape that cool in a long time, and I'm sure I'll be heading back there again sometime soon. I think in total we covered about 2,500 miles. Massive thanks to Ollie and Foster for doing all the driving. I think next time it's probably going to be my turn. I'm a bit surprised it's taken us this long to do a road trip around Europe. It's something I've always wanted to do but just never got round to it. Having our own cars really made it that much better than a normal holiday, as we could literally go wherever we wanted and really explore the places we visited. I was sad to be going home after such an epic trip with such a sick group of friends, but also just quite excited at the idea of doing it again somewhere else. Well, that's it. The 2 weeks is up already. France is behind us and we're heading back to England. It's been an insane amount of fun though. I can't believe how many places we got to see. If you like this video, please do share and maybe subscribe, because next week I'm going to the Philippines and it'll probably be all the fun again.